Hello everyone and welcome to Eve Basics. I'll be your host today, and today we're talking about armor tanking. This is part of my Tankstravaganza series. So we're going to talk about the two kinds of armor tanking, active armor tank and buffer armor. So we're going to start with buffer armor here. So there are lots of different ways to tank your ship, shields and armor, and even hull tanks and even speed tanking. We'll get to all that, but we're going to start with armor tank. Um, so the reason I fit this Megathron up is because it's got a ton of low slots, so I can talk about all the modules. Now this isn't really what a normal armor tank looks like. I am just going to talk about what's going on here. So buffer tanking means that you have no way to repair yourself. Buffer tank is purely run either in fleets with logistics ships that can heal you, or it is run in a PvP environment where you are going to be able to kill the other person before they blow you up. So you're kind of banking on that fact. This is all of the rigs and all of the low slot modules that you may or may not use in an armor buffer tank. So let's talk about them. We'll go like this. Large explosive armor reinforcer. Alright, these armor reinforcers come in all four flavors: explosive, kinetic, thermal, and EM. The explosive one is pretty popular because armor is naturally not as resistant to explosive damage, so a lot of times you're going to run one of these up here, especially if you're going for some kind of omni-tank, meaning all your resists are pretty high. You're not focusing one or two resists, you're trying to get them all up there. A lot of times you'll be using this, specifically the explosive one. Although, you can put a couple up here or all three. All right, so that's this. This will cost you speed. All right, a lot of armor tanking really will drop your speed. So when I don't have this on, I can go 141 meters per second, and when I do have it on, 133. But this is, it'll reduce your overall speed. The next is a large Trimark armor pump. This will give your armor a boost. An armor hit point bonus that is percentage based. Those are the only two types of rigs that I believe help with armor tanking. So we're going to leave them there. We're going to go down here. Damage control. You're going to see this a lot in the videos. This thing you should pop on pretty much every ship. The amount of resistance it gives you, it's just so much. And it's better for armor resistances than for shield. And it's even better for hull. We'll get there. So these guys are always good. Reactive armor hardeners are very, very interesting. As you're running them and your ship takes damage to its armor, this little buddy calculates what type of damage is being taken, either EM, kinetic, thermal, whatever, and it will adjust its resistances to fit that type of damage. These two mods together can almost constitute a really decent armor tank sort of by themselves, which is strange, but the reactive armor hardener is so good at what it does. And these two by themselves give you a ton of resistances. So remember, in buffer tank, it's not only the amount of hit points your armor has, but it's also how high you can jack your resistances a lot of the times. So it's a combination of armor hit points and resistances that will give you a good buffer tank. So these two are resist modules. So is this next one. The thermal armor hardeners. This is an active hardener that needs to be on in order to work. This comes in all four flavors as well. To all four resistance types, and this thing can give you a big bonus to specific resists. So if you know what kind of stuff you're going to be up against, these things are very, very good. So always make sure that if you know what kind of damage you're coming up against, pick the right hardeners. I often keep a full set of 8 of these, 2 of each type, in my mission hangar, because some missions you need a couple hardeners to really get that specific resistance up. Okay. Next is energized membrane and multispectrum and the coatings. The membranes and the coatings. All right. These both give you resistances to a specific type of resistance. They come in 5 flavors: specific single resistance types and the multi-spectrum types, which will give you across the board resists. Now what you'll notice here is that my resists aren't even on this. It's negative 13.2% to EM and negative 13.8 to explosive here. So it's based on, it's a little bit linked to skills. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. what is it? EM armor compensation, explosive armor, kinetic armor. So you can see that my explosive armor comp is higher than the other ones, and so I'm getting just a tiny bit more off of this. Anyway, this one is a whole lot better than this multi-spectrum coating. They do similar things, right? This is a multi-spectrum, so across the board. So is this. This comes in all 5 flavors as well. This one takes CPU to fit. This one takes no CPU. This is one of the cheapest things you can possibly fit in the game. It literally takes 1 power grid to put one of these guys on here. And it takes 1 power grid and 30 CPU. I never see these coatings used. I'm sure they are useful in certain fits. I would assume that they are used more on frigates and things like that have much more limited CPU. But again, I think that since frigates have such limited low slots, and you're probably going to stick a DCU in one of them, I don't know what the point of these is. I'm sure somebody will tell me in the comments if they feel strongly about it. Next, we're going to get to the layered energized membranes. These are straight buffs to your armor hit point total. These are a little bit, these are also hit point percentage based. And so the bigger your ship, the more benefit these have. And they are very, very easy to fit for their benefit. This guy, again, is even easier to fit than the resist modules. And this guy, it takes almost nothing to fit 1 power grid. So, again, these are probably... It's weird because they're percentage based, they're better on bigger ships. But bigger ships generally don't have as much fitting problems as smaller ships just because they're so big. So I don't really know how I feel about either of these. I don't see these used a ton. So, whatever. But what I do see used a ton is plates. All right, now plates will also, they add a little bit of mass to your ship, but they can have huge bonuses. These are also a flat-out bonus. The bigger plate you can cram on the smaller ship, the better it is, quote-unquote, right? 3,500 HP maybe isn't a lot for a battleship, but if you can cram one of these on a cruiser, one of these 1,600 millimeter ones, you can effectively double its armor hit points most of the time, which is just a huge boost. It does take a lot to fit, though. Big power grid usage from these guys. All right, 500 megawatts. Compared to the 1 of these. So this is an example of a buffer tank with just a bunch of random stuff. Even with this janky just pile of stuff that I have no plan for at all, I have 90,000 EHP on this Megathron. I don't have any damage mods down here to speak of, which is going to be a problem later in my fit when I want guns. But if I just line up all the stuff, I still have a pretty decent chunk of hit points. I can't heal myself, but that's okay. My buddy will heal me. Let's go to active armor tank. So here's the mods that affect active armor tank. All right, you'll notice some of the same players from before. Damage control, always good. Reactive, always good. Some type of hardener or combinations of hardeners, always good. The energized membrane and the multi-spectrum and the coatings, still good. The explosive armor reinforcers or any kind of armor reinforcer, still good, because even when we're active tanking, we still want to worry about our resists, because that'll still reduce the incoming damage so that our reppers can keep up with it. The main thing that changes here is we don't have any plates fit, and we don't have any of those layered coatings or layered energized membranes fit. We don't really care about our overall hit points. If you'll notice that this is 30,000 higher than this, but this one can repair itself at a pretty good rate. So let's talk about that. There are 2 different kinds of armor repairers that you can fit that will repair your ship. One is just called an armor repairer, and one is called an ancillary armor repairer. These 2 are very similar. If you turn them on, they will repair your ship. This one's fairly straightforward. It will repair your ship at a certain rate, and it'll repair, this one says 793 HP repaired per 10 seconds. So every 10 seconds when it cycles, at the end of its cycle, it'll give you 800 hit points. Boom, you're all healed and stuff. And this one is less, okay, except it's ancillary, and it's got these 4 little black dots down here, which means, hey, this thing can hold a charger and ammo of some sort. And the thing it holds I didn't put it in my cargo because I failed to set that up properly, is nanite repair paste. When you pop this in to the module, all of a sudden it repairs 1,787 per 10. It is now over twice as good as our regular one. But the thing is, every time it cycles, it's going to eat some of this repair paste. And because it's a large one, I believe it eats either 8 or 16. Let's see what it eats. Charges per cycle. It's going to eat 8 of our charges of paste, and it holds 64. So this can cycle 8 times before it runs out of paste and becomes worse than our regular one. The ancillary ones are almost exclusively used in PvP when you want to mitigate the burst damage. In PvE stuff, the regular armor repairers and their steadiness and their dependability and the fact that they don't eat charges usually has better results for you. But you can mix it up, like, have a large one and have an ancillary large one that you need in case you need to hit an oh shoot button because you're getting blown up real fast, and you can turn this on and it'll really boost you up for a little while. There are also 2 rigs that affect your armor repair. One is the auxiliary nano pump, which basically just makes your armor reps just plain better. Without it, 690 per 10. With it, 793 per 10. It's just better. And the other one is the large nanobot accelerator. This is a little bit different. It makes them better, but in different ways. So if I turn that off, it's 793 per 12 seconds. If I turn it on, it's 793 per 10.2, which is better. But it makes it cycle faster, which means it uses more capacitor. So if you look up here, if I don't have this rig fit, to negative 270. If I do have it, negative 330. All right, just as an example. So generally, buffer fits are used for PvE content where you have a Logi, or PvP content where you have a Logi. You need somebody else to heal you through this most of the time. And active armor stuff is used for the ancillary repper, and this sort of active fit are mostly used for kind of solo PvP stuff. And this kind of active fit with the large armor repper here, not the ancillary one, the regular one, is normally for PvE kind of stuff, where you're just kind of soloing at level 4 missions and things like that, where you know what's going on, but you need to be able to repair yourself. So that is part 1 of Tankstravaganza, armor tanking. Next video, we'll do Tankstravaganza part 2, shield tanking. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.